So this week, I want to talk about Hedwig.
Hedwig.
Yes.
Yes, that's the owl, right?
That is the owl,
Okay,
yes. You had this look on your face like, I should know that name.
Yeah, Hedwig is Harry's owl, right?
Harry's owl.
Okay.
Harry's snowy owl. Yep.
Yeah, cool.
Yes, she was Harry's first ever birthday gift and kind of represented the change in his new life into the wizarding world. And she's kind of his only companion, his only connection to the wizarding world when he's at the Dursleys.
Mm-hmm.
She's a very a special owl, competent, intelligent, affectionate. You know, she can be a bit sulky. You know, she tells Harry what she thinks with looks and nipping him and stuff. But she's very good at her job. You remember what the owls do in the wizarding world?
Oh, they deliver the mail, right?
Yeah. So she can find people with just a name, even if they've moved or they're in hiding or on vacation. And she also kind of has this ability to find them when they want to send something to Harry, not just when he wants to send something to them. Yeah.
So she's kind of got a little bit of psychic abilities almost, or is that just typical of most owls in the wizarding world?
Well, it's hard to tell from the books because they don't really go into the specifics of owls. Yeah. But I kind of get the feeling that she's a little more special than your typical owl. Yeah.
Okay.
And then another spoilers here. Hedwig doesn't make it through all the books. She's killed by a killing curse in the Battle of the Seven Potters. When Harry's escaping Privet Drive on his 17th birthday, which is the day he comes of age. So kind of her death is his loss of innocence, you know? So she represents his change into the wizarding world and then his coming of age and maturing to into this destiny that he's, accepted.
Yeah, so she's kind of there during his transition of becoming a wizard and then growing into growing up and becoming a man, and that's interesting.
Yeah. And she's white, which is kind of the color of innocence, which I have this quote from J.K. Rowling that she says, the loss of Hedwig represented the loss of innocence and security. She has been almost like a cuddly toy to Harry at times. Voldemort killing her marked the end of childhood. I'm sorry, I know that death upset a lot of people.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I don't remember that part.
Well, it happens in the last book, I think. So I don't think you read that one. It was in the movies. Yeah.
It must have been so traumatic that I just blocked it out of my memory.
Right? You're like, Hedwig, still alive. What?
Yeah, the name Hedwig.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that sounds like a very British name, but I wonder if it has some deeper meanings or connections to other mythology or what. So I'm curious to learn more about it.
It's actually not really a British name.
No, it just sounds like it. I'm just thinking of the wig part,
I see. Yeah. No, I think it sounds more German, actually. But anyway, Harry gets her name from reading it in History of Magic. And they don't really elaborate as to who this is, but he names her after somebody in history of magic.
Oh, all right.
But the word Hedwig, it has kind of two elements to it, Hadu and Wig. And Hadu means battle or combat, and Wig means fight or duel or war.
Oh, wow. I would have not have figured that a name like that was so fierce.
Yeah, right? So it's kind of a weird juxtaposition, her name is. You know, she represents this innocence, and she's this cuddly toy to him, as Rowling put it, but her name means, like battle, war, fight.
Yeah.
Which is kind of, these books are a lot like that. They're on the surface, they're, fantasy children's books, but there actually is quite a lot of serious subject matter in them.
Yeah.
And they get dark at the end.
They get really dark. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting too, because that's almost like if Harry named her, I wonder if he knew that meaning when he named her, and it's almost like when he named her that he was predicting how she would die, because she died in a battle.
She did die in a battle. And actually, in the books, she's in her cage and she gets hit by a stunning spell on the back of Hagrid's flying motorcycle. But in the movie, they changed that and they let her fly free, and she kind of swoops in and takes the killing curse so it doesn't hit Harry.
Oh, wow.
So I'm not sure which way I like it better, actually. That's one of the few things that I think the movie may have kind of made, I don't know, makes her death a little bit more meaningful. Although in the book, the way the book does it, it kind of makes it seem more tragic.
Right.
You know? Because it's not as meaningful.
Right. Heroic or just, truly...
casualty of war.
Yeah. Wow.
But actually, she's such an integral part of these books and the movies that the main theme from the movie, the iconic music, is called Hedwig's theme.
Yeah.
There are also 2 Saint Hedwigs in history. Huh. Yes. One was a Polish queen in the 1300s, and then there was Saint Hedwig of Andechs in kind of the turn of the 12th century, the 13th century. And she was the Duchess of Silesia, and she was the patron saint of orphans. And Harry is maybe the most famous orphan in the wizarding world.
Yeah. Well, that would make sense as to maybe how Rowling chose the name to give to Hedwig for the books.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that makes a little more sense maybe than the battle combat fight actual meaning of the word. Yeah,
and the meaning of Hedwig. What language or culture is that meaning derived from?
I'm gonna have to look it up, but I'm pretty sure it's German. Yeah.
It seems like it. I mean, it definitely doesn't sound Latin.
Yeah.
Like many of the other words we've talked about.
Yes, it's a little different. Yeah.
Huh.
And there is a famous musical called Hedwig and the Angry Itch. Have you heard of that?
Yes, I've heard of that.
That musical is about a German genderqueer rock singer named Hedwig Robinson. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Aw, Hedwig. Now I'm sad for Hedwig.
I know, right? Although I will say, I love Hedwig. She's a very majestic and intelligent owl, but her death was not the one that hit me the hardest. Let's say that. Yeah. Although it did for a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, we humanize animals very much too.
Yeah.
And a snowy owl, Harry's maybe first friend.
Yeah.
That's tough to see or to read about. Yeah. To picture in your mind as you're reading the story.
Yeah. Well, it's like those things they do in the movies. Like, you can kill all the people, but don't kill the dog. Like that's the worst, right? Yeah. Don't kill the pet. Yeah. So, I just had one other quote from Rowling, because she has had a lot of kickback on Hedwig, just like those, well, actually kind of comments. So she says, I made a few elementary mistakes when it came to my depiction of Hedwig. First, snowy owls are diurnal, i.e. they fly by day. Secondly, they are virtually mute, so Hedwig's frequent hoots and chirps of approval and comfort should be taken as signs of her magically enhanced abilities.
Yeah.
Thirdly, as countless well-meaning owl lovers and experts keep writing to me in the early days, owls do not eat bacon. Hedwig enjoys a bit of bacon rind when she delivers post at breakfast. So, she's like, I know. I didn't get snowy owls quite right. Yeah. Stop writing to me.
I don't know if, kids would get quite a kick out of the owl eating like a live mouse or something. Right? Whatever they actually eat.
Well, you never know. At the magical breakfast table of Hogwarts, they might just have live mice, there specifically for the post owls.
You never know. Yeah. It sounds like the fandom of, Harry Potter fandom really took to Hedwig and cared very much about Hedwig's story being consistent and meaningful and also took the death really hard as well.
Yeah.
So that's so interesting for a character that's seemingly just there to allow plot to unfold and messages to be passed back and forth became so dear in people's hearts.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Well, maybe in Wizarding World, Owl Heaven, Hedwig is flying around and leading the charge in the battle against Wizarding World Hell or something.
Right. Just making sure that Voldemort doesn't get go there.
That's right. Well, we have many, many more creatures' names to talk about on this podcast, along with all the other places, spells, and other characters. So if you'd like to learn more and continue on this journey with us, please subscribe to the Potternyms podcast. You can also find us online on Facebook and Instagram at Potternyms.
Yeah, and if you'd like a little extra bonus content, head over to patreon.com/Potternyms and, support us that over there, and you get some cool extras.
Yeah, bonus content for the super fans. Well, until next time, I'm Erik.
And I'm Al.
And this has been Potternyms.